did I manage to get 5 projects off my needles this month? Stick around and find out. I'm Kylie G. Welcome to my little corner of the interweb where I talk about all things knitting. My love of knitting, my love of craft purchases, my love of just everything wool related. Today is Monday the 2nd of May. Where the hell did April go? I'm actually at the end of my holidays, which is a little bit sad, but I have had just the most wonderful time. Lots of knitting, lots of napping, lots of long lunches. My husband didn't take annual leave, but he managed to get a couple of days off. He works for himself, so he managed to take some time off while I was on leave. We had a couple of dinner parties, did a few jobs around the house, and I'm actually looking forward to going back to work, which tells me that I've had a pretty cool holiday, a pretty good break. I think the first week I napped at least 2 hours a day every day, to the point where I was starting to get concerned that I had a problem. Anyway, so before I head back into the office tomorrow, I thought I would sit down and have a quick chat to you. Probably not a quick chat because I've got lots to talk about. We're going to talk about some old makes, some elephants in the room, this podcast. I also want to go through the finished objects I managed to get off my needles. If you remember, I set myself a rather ambitious target of completing 5 projects in April. Did I do it? Stick around. I've done a little bit of shopping, which I know I said that I wasn't going to do, but I have done some shopping and it has arrived and I'm excited to share that with you. And my works in progress. And then finally, if you still manage to be here at the end of all of that, oh my God, thank you so much. But I'm going to talk to you about how I managed to be a fairly productive knitter. I don't tend to have a lot of whips on the go, and I managed to get a fair bit of knitting done in the time that I have available. Now I work full time, so and I've got a house to run. I don't have little ones, so that makes it easier for us. But I'm going to talk to you my tips this week about how to be a more productive knitter and avoid work in progress paralysis and castonitis. Both afflictions of the avid knitter. So we're going to talk about that at the end if you're still here. So let's get into it, shall we? First things first, old whips. Let me share with you some, not old whips, old finished objects, or finished objects that have been off my needles for quite a length of time. So what I'm wearing at the moment is the Wanderling by Isabel Kramer. It's this gorgeous Henley style t-shirt with beautiful detail in the raglan increases. It's knit in the round, obviously knit flat to the bottom of the V here, and that explains very easily how to join all of this. It's got a gorgeous panel on the back and down the sides, this lovely, quite simple pattern detail that really that's what makes this a really enjoyable knit. I did make some modifications because I just did. Obviously short sleeves, it's a long sleeve pattern, but I did short sleeves, and I'm pretty sure Isabel makes an allowance in the pattern for short sleeves. She generally does that with her patterns. She'll have both options, and it has pockets, but I didn't add them. At the end of the day, I've got enough going on around here. I don't need to add any bulk. I think in my Ravelry page I said something about desiring a more streamlined silhouette, which is code for I don't want pockets, so to make my belly look bigger. No, not that I mean I love pockets, but I think pockets in knitwear are a strange thing. You know, I would be concerned that it would stretch out the knit, especially when you knit in a superwash yarn that has a fair bit of stretch in it anyway, and does stretch out a little bit. So I know you're going to be absolutely gobsmacked and shocked, but I have knit this in Lolodidit in the Dreamy Sock base, and the colorway is Lagoon. So when I saw this pattern, when it was released, or I discovered it on Ravelry, I cast it on pretty quickly, thinking that this would be a fabulous top for me to wear with a nice pair of white pants or some white denim shorts or denim skirt, white denim, and was really disappointed when I got it finished and I tried to style it and realized that it's not a white base, this yarn. It's a cream base, so there's a little bit of warmth to the colouring, which means when you pair it with white, it just makes this warm cream tone in the background look muddy. So I'll be honest with you, I've struggled to style this shirt, this top, but I love it. I think it's really quite flattering. I'd like to knit another one because, for a number of reasons. Firstly, really like a Henley neckline, as I said. The patterning on the side and at the back made it potato chippy enough that you could just knit. Really easy to memorize pattern. There was just enough going on to spark your interest. It'd be like, oh, I'm just going to get one more pattern repeat in, just one more pattern repeat in, and you know how great that is, because when you have that, you end up with a knit that virtually knits itself, which is just what we all want. So really love it, and think I might cast this on in, I've got some dark charcoal, Lolodidit dark charcoal, that I think this would be quite elegant with jeans and boots for winter up here with a slightly longer sleeve. I tend to knit a lot of dark colours. I don't know why. Yeah. I should get braver with colour. Are you brave with colour? Anyway, so that's this one, the Wonderling. I knit it 4 years ago, and yeah. So this is my Sunday hanging around the house outfit. Okay, Wonderling. Let's talk about what's behind me here. This, I'll talk about this in a moment. This stunning shawl. But what I have here is actually on Frankie inside out. Clearly I'm useless without my glasses. Anyway, this is the, give me a second, Threshold by Melanie Berg. I knit this one again about 4 years ago. It's in the, wait for it, Lolodidit, shocked, I know, in the Dreamy sock base, and the colorway is Blackberry Jam. What I really like about this, I did 3/4 sleeves. So this is a winter wear for me. Yeah, a winter garment. What I really like is this gorgeous boat neck, which is really flattering for somebody with a slightly larger bust, because it draws the eye away from the boobs, away from your girls, and up towards your face, which we all want people looking at our face a little bit more, don't we? It's got a fabulous lattice. It's inside out. A beautiful crisscross lattice pattern in the fabric, which again, not unlike this, there seems to be a bit of a theme today, not unlike this, has enough patterning to make it interesting, yet potato chippy. Once you understand how the pattern rolls, you can, it's easily memorable. It has a really interesting construction and knit flat to the sleeves, then in the round, and it's got a drop shoulder on it, which is just lovely. It was a really lovely knit. And of course Lolodidit Yarns sock base, which is a merino cashmere nylon MCN, is just beautiful to knit with. It's really quite lovely. It's one of my favorites. So that's that one. Now let me talk about this. This was a labor of love. You see how it pattern decreases. You knit this in 2 halves and kitchenette it together. This is the Lacey Stole by Berengori. I'm sorry, the name's here. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your name. It is a beautifully written pattern and was an absolute joy to knit. I've knit this in Holst Garn Coast, which is a 50% wool, 50% cotton base, and this I buy this by the cone because it is a nice weight. It's, I would call it a light fingering for, and a nice weight for far north Queensland where I live. So it was a lovely knit. It just knit it, you know, again with this sort of pattern where you just one more repeat, just one more repeat, you know. So this is really elegant. This is nice with jeans when you're just down at the beach hanging out, but equally just as lovely to style with an elegant outfit. So yeah, so there you go. They're the elephants in the room and some of my favourite finished objects. So all of the details for these will be in the down bar below with a link to my notes on Ravelry. I try really hard to do thorough notes. I'm a little behind in photos this month because I just wanted to get knitting done, because taking photos for your finished objects is another craft all of its own. So drum roll please. April's FOs. How many FOs do I have for April? Okay, so if you watched my previous podcast, you saw that I finished the baby onesie. I'll pop a quick photo. No, if you're interested, go back and have a look. Finished the baby onesie, and I had pretty much finished my socks. They are absolutely finished. I finished them that afternoon. So these are the, again, not on sock blockers. These have been blocked now. They are the Wildflower and Honeycomb socks. See that gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. Yeah. Again, really potato chippy, just interesting enough to keep you one more pattern, repeat, one more pattern, repeat. So they knit themselves. I have to say, this is my favourite heel of all time. It's been called the Honeycomb Heel, which is kind of a twist on the partridge heel, which a lot of people find quite fussy to knit, but I just think I really like the partridge heel. That would be my favourite, but until this one, there's not a purl stitch in it. It's all knit stitches. How great's that? And it's that pretty. So as with all my socks, I did an additional 4 rows on the heel so that I could pick up additional rows for the gusset, because I have quite a high arch and I like a little bit of room in my heel. So these are my April socks. I know you're shocked, right? So 4 for 4. 4 socks for the month. So second finished object. Third finished object. The cuffs for my sister. So I'm actually popping these in the post tomorrow down to my sister. So cute. So there's 36 stitches. It's really not a pattern. It's 36 stitches, knit flat, some ribbing, knit flat until the top of the thumb, till you've got enough room for your thumb, and then knit until they're long enough, and then just cast off in the round. You join in the round here. Last podcast I did a bit of a review on the flexi flips, and I knit one of these with the flexi flip, and I just not a fan. Just gonna say it. I'm really not a fan. They were just awkward and cumbersome, and so in the end what I did was I pulled out my old signature needles. I've got signature interchangeables, and I pulled those out, and with the longer cord, it was really nice to knit on that. So that one was knit with the flexi flips, don't know which one, and one was knit with the signature loops. So what's this yarn? It's the grey colourway, pardon the, and it is Concept Cotton Merino. This is some shopping, I'll show you in a minute, but it's in the dark grey colourway. Knit up really quickly, and thankfully, you know, this makes finished object number 3. I really didn't think I'd get them done. So I'm actually quite chuffed. So these are winging their way. I've got to take some photos this afternoon, and I'll wrap these up in some tissue paper with a little card and send them off to my sister. So finished object number 3, cozy cuffs. There we go. Now, if you've watched a couple of episodes ago, I asked you whether or not I should frog or finish my calligraphy cardigan. And no, my podcast was 2 minutes old. I really didn't get a lot of feedback about whether I should frog it or finish it, except for one lovely viewer told me that she was heading off to find the pattern and knit up a calligraphy cardigan for herself. So I hope you have. And I took that to mean you should finish it, Kylie. So I did. Now it's still a little bit damp because I didn't wring it out very well. And I've got to get some buttons. So it doesn't have buttons, but it is blocked. Ends are woven in, and I love it. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is the Calligraphy Cardigan by Nora Gorn. Came out in a Mason-Dixon magazine. The pattern's available on Ravelry, which I will link to, of course. But it is this gorgeous short sleeve cardigan in a DK weight, which is unusual for me. This is only the second DK weight item I've ever made. So, not item, garment I've ever made. So, just beautiful, beautiful detail in these cables down the back, which of course Nora Gorn is known for her cables. So really lovely. And what I really, really like is the details on the button band. Can you see? It just looks like a railway track. It's just lovely. So how I finished this was after I did the knit 2, purl 2, I did a knit row on the right side and then cast off on the wrong side purlwise, and it gives you this top sitting feature, which is just lovely. It's really pretty. So I'm delighted with this. Now, buttons. Do you struggle to find nice buttons? I do. So I had some buttons here at home, but sadly not enough for this project. But I sat them out when it was blocking. It'll go back out and block a little bit more in the, I might just hang it actually. And the button I've decided to go with is something like this. Now I bought these for another project, my Geiger cardigan, which is a beautiful cable cardigan that details are on my Ravelry page. One of my really challenging knit. I was such a newbie knitter when I knit it. It didn't even occur to me that you needed to have more skill than I had to be able to knit it, but I just knit it. You know when you don't know and you just plow on blindly. Anyway, so these little silver scrolls. So these are the inspiration for the buttons for this. So I want to wear this to work on Friday because Friday is free dress day. I don't have to wear my uniform on Friday because I work in a health service, so I have to wear a uniform most of the time. But hopefully I can wear that Friday and I'll get some cool photos for Instagram and my Ravelry page. So that was number 4. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to get that done. I think I was concerned that I had overcommitted. And considering there were a number of days where I didn't knit when I was on holidays, I'm thinking, oh my stars, I'm just not going to get this done. What have I done? I've told all these people that I'm going to knit all these projects. There's no knitting police, no such thing is there. Okay, so that's that. So the 5th thing that I wanted to get finished was my half and half triangle shanklet. It's not a shawl, it's a shanklet. Because I cast on extra stitches because I figured they didn't know enough. People who wrote the pattern, it should have been bigger. It's already huge and I made it bigger. Live and learn, hey? So, did I get it finished? Not quite, which is really disappointing, but almost finished. Now, the blue was done last time you saw it. I'll just make sure I don't lose any of these incredibly valuable stitches. And I was up to here 2 weeks ago. So I have knit on top of the other 4 projects I finished. Just saying. I got this done. Now, what I did do too, just every day when I sit down and I'm going to knit on it for a chunk of time, I will put a stitch marker in where I was last time, where I said like it's starting at the beginning of the day. So that was one day. No, that was obviously one day. That was one sitting. That was one sitting. 2 sittings, 3 sittings. That was a lot of time on my butt that day. A wee little day. I think we ended up going out for lunch. Long lunch. Wine lunch. Wine may have been consumed. Next day. Another day. It was a good day. Because obviously, the further into this you get, the longer the rows get. So, I've still got a fair bit to do. And I got to probably, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and I was starting to feel a little bit of pressure to get it done. And because I'd set this ridiculous goal for myself, and I just thought, you know what? There's no such thing as a knitting police. Nobody's going to be disappointed with you if you don't finish it, other than yourself. So get over it. And, you know, you knit because you love knitting, Kylie. You don't knit because you've set these ridiculous goals for yourself. Although I must admit, having the goals does keep you on track and help you stay a little more focused. But, yeah, really enjoy this knit. So much so that I've already decided I'm going to do another one. Not 300 stitches though. I'm not going to be that stupid. I'm going to knit it to pattern. I have also done the gorgeous I-cord edging, just a 3-stitch I-cord edge on it. So whip, will I get this finished this month? I hope so. I hope this is a May make. This will be one of those finished in May. So my first whip. So that's not bad, is it? 4, not bad. Okay. So that's my first whip. Now I only have 2 real whips that I'm working on. So the half and half triangle wrap. I cast on my husband's work socks. These got cast on last night. We went out to dinner last night, and sounds like all I do is eat out. I have been on holidays, so. And these are just going to be vanilla socks, but these are his business's colours. So he wears a navy blue t-shirt. His logo's this high-vis green. Just 72 stitches, 15 rows of 2x2 rib, and then into the sock. This will be my handbag knitting, and I like to have a sock in my handbag or with me most of the time because every row counts. So mind you, he's very keen for them. And the reason I'm making him work socks, I'm sure there are people out there shaking their head going, my God, why would you make work socks for a tradie? Like, knit them, because knitting socks takes time. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but he bought some work socks in these colourway online, and they've fallen apart. He did buy them on the internet and didn't pay a lot of money for them, but we were so excited, or he was so excited, that they actually matched his logo, and you know, it sort of tied him all together. And because he goes to people's houses and he actually takes his shoes off, so he's been walking around with his toe hanging out, which is just mortifying. Anyway, so I think I may have had a glass of wine or two, and I said to my husband, I can knit you work socks. So I'm knitting him work socks. So this is my second work in progress, which is just a wee tiny baby. But given that I finished all those really big things, it's okay, right? Yeah. So I'm knitting this out of Nundle Woolen Mill sock yarn. So Nundle Woolen Mill is a woolen mill in country New South Wales. They have a online presence, and they make their own sock yarn. And they're in the middle, they're sort of in the middle of northwestern New South Wales sheep country. So I visited because it's near Tamworth, where we used to live, and near where one of my daughters lives. And I have their shade card, which is how I pick all the colours. And they do a number of different yarn weights, but I particularly like their sock yarn. So, because it's quite affordable. So this is the lime colourway, and navy is obviously the dark navy. So well into that, which is great. So I've got a sock to take with me to work for, you know, handbag knitting, lunchtime knitting, boring meetings, traveling, all of that kind of stuff. So that's a bit exciting. So that's it for my whips. I've only got 2 whips. However, that's future cast on. So I'm now after some advice. Finish it or frog it. This is a little cardigan. It's a wee baby cardigan. So if you can see this yarn, it's a discontinued yarn, sorry, by Cloudborn, and this is Bay of Bengal. It's a sock yarn, superwash merino sock splash is the anyway, it's discontinued, but it's got these gorgeous pops of colour. So I ordered 2 sweater quantities worth of this by accident. The second lot of sweater quantity, I thought I might do a sock, but I'm going to do a shawl as well, just a triangle shaped shawl. And where the colour sits, I'll do something, the float shawl that's around at the moment. I might fiddle with it a little bit around the, when I get to the colour. I won't do the float shawl, but I'll, something like that. So anyway, I'm excited to cast that on actually, although I've got 1 shawl already. So do I do 2 shawls? Okay. Oh, so much knitting to do in so little time, really. So I'm of course in the middle of a row because I think that's a rule with podcasters. So what I've done is I've gone through my stash and I have found all the different colours that are in this yarn. I've found yarn. Look familiar? So what I thought was I would knit this cardigan with a different coloured neckband, just a raglan cardigan, nothing super uber fancy, different coloured cuffs and different coloured waistband. Maybe even do like a little faux pocket with a pop of colour. So it's a baby whip. But do I frog it or finish it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Frog it or finish it? It does smell particularly good in here. I must have, in the bottom of this bag, I do, very old cake of tuft woolen sock. That's a beautiful smelling one, this one. What is this one? Oh, vanilla almond, of course. Just lovely. So frog it or finish it. Do you do that with your tuft woolen soap? Just pop it in your bag so that your yarn smells, your project smells lovely. This bag, by the way, I made when I didn't have many, back in the day when I didn't have a lot of project bags. I spent a couple of weekends making project bags, and then it's really easy, not a hard thing to do. So frog it or finish it. And now, finally, my one more thing. This afternoon, I am going to cake up this bit of gorgeousness. Now this is Saltwater Yarns in the She Sells Seashells colourway, and I'm going to do myself a pair of socks. These will be my May socks. So I will have 2 pairs of socks on the needles, a half and half wrap, and maybe my colour block cardigan. So that's for April. It's May. It's ridiculous. I'm actually travelling. I don't know if I've mentioned earlier, but I'm doing a bit of travelling this month for work, and I'm on jury duty, so I get to sit around and knit. Jury duty, waiting to do things. Judy, which is, yeah. So I wonder if that's too much. Am I setting myself up to fail? Anyway, like we say, there's no such thing as the knitting police, is there? No. There we go. Shopping. Or happy mail. Or, well, it's all just happy mail for me. Because it all comes in the post. I bought a couple of things. I enjoyed these and the idea of these so much that I thought they would be really good in a couple of different colours, and I would like some. And I've got a bit of a thing for green at the moment. So, shopping, it's all in this basket. So the way it started was, you know, I've mentioned to you a couple of times now that I really am not a fan of knitting in the round on a larger happy loop, magic loop on a bigger needle, and I thought I would try DPNs. So in true Kylie fashion, I didn't just buy a set of DPN. I didn't just buy a one size DPN. I went all out and bought a bamboo set of Chowgu DPNs. Yet to use them, and the reason I haven't used them is because they're sitting in here for me to show you. So now these can go into my knitting needle pile, and I might knit a hat, because you can do that on a 16-inch circular, and then the DPNs for the top. Then you're not doing it all in DPNs, and it's nice. You've got some fabric established. Might do that. Watch this space. Anyway, so very excited to use those. And now that I've shown you, I can use them. I won't even put them away. Thank God, my basket. I bought myself some more fake barber cord, and I just thought I would show you the packet that it comes in. So this is exactly the same as the barber cord, I'm sure. I don't mean to do anybody out of business, but works a treat. Okay, so the merino concept cotton merino that I did these in, I I got this in their numbered colorways. So this is a bit of a green, but then this is what I thought I would pair it with this. How fabulous is that? I actually think that's the hat. Yeah, I only bought one. Hat or cozy cuffs. Who knows? Remember I told you that I was going on a yarn diet? Obviously, it's exactly like me going on a regular diet. Best of intentions. And then it all goes to hell in a handbasket. And I also got it in this gorgeous pink, this blush colour. Maybe this is the hat. Because I've got some of this in a soft pink up there. So this can go away now. So I bought green, two. And then some more GPNs so that, you know, because if you're going to buy them, you're paying postage, right? So that was from Skein Sisters in Sydney. Then my sock yarn from Nundle came. What was I saying about a yarn diet? It's ridiculous. I really need to. It's like trying to give up chocolate, isn't it? It's just not possible. I got myself some black, some more of the green, and just that lime for my husband's work socks. So I'll do him some navy ones and some black ones, or just navy. Oh. And that gorgeous, what colour is this called? And it's called Nutmeg. Oh. Can't see because I haven't got my glasses on. Shade 87. Do you really want to know? Well, not much for a podcast if I don't tell you. Cumin, which is, yeah, a nice pair of cable socks in that, hey? Even a hat. I'm in a hat mood today, hey? And then I did this. I've never bought a pom-pom magazine before. And I left it wrapped up so I could show you how it comes. It's like a little present. All the way from the UK. This is their spring edition. So I figured that because of where I live, this would be a good addition for me to buy, because look at those hydrangeas. Because they're obviously, you know, lighter weight knits. I really haven't had a chance to sit down and look at it. There's a very gorgeous pair of socks. And some challenging knits, some unusual knits. But it is just a lovely book, and I'm looking forward to, now that I've shown you, because I really did not sit down and look at it because I had five projects to finish this month. And honestly, I just wanted to listen to an audiobook knit this holiday. So I haven't really had a good chance to look at it. but I will certainly be going through and putting some flags on the pages of things that I would like to knit and put into my queue. Not everything that goes into my queue gets knit. You're probably exactly the same, but it's a nice place to start. Do you tend to buy yarn, put something in your queue, order the yarn, and then not knit it? Use the yarn for something else? I do that all the time. I bought this for cuffs. Now I think it's going to be a hat. See what I mean? Probably two hats. Don't you love that green that's around at the moment? I'm really loving green. Wouldn't mind a green sweater, but I'm not buying any more yarn. Famous last words. Anyway, oh, that's my tummy. My tummy. It's nearly lunchtime. Okay. Now, if you've managed to hang around this long, oh my God, thank you so much. It's been really good fun catching up with you. But I thought my tip this week would be about how to be a more productive knitter, how to be a faster knitter. Now, a little while ago, I went probably about 4, maybe 5 years ago. I'm a flicker, so I've got 5 tips, but this is probably the separate from that. This is about getting speed when you knit, becoming a faster knitter in terms of stitches per minute, if you like, stitches per hour. I'm a flicker, so I'll pull out this project because it's handy and I'll show you what I mean. It's a good thing I'm in the middle of a row and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, so and it's a purl row, that's why I stopped. Don't actually mind purling, but so when I first learnt to knit, I actually don't know if I can do it without. I used to take my hand off the needle, right? And that's how I knit. I taught myself, and it did take a little while and it was quite uncomfortable, to just move my finger, never letting go of the needles. So now I knit, I might show you, I knit, I hope you can see that. Oh. And I'm trying to do this without my glasses on, so it's really easy. But I now knit like that. Now, I'll knit back this way actually, because then it's knit stitch. So that means that my speed has increased significantly because I don't move my hands, it's all fingers. So I'll fix that later. But that is how hang on one moment. That is how I increased my stitch per hour, so my actual speed. But in terms of getting projects done and avoiding castonitis and works in progress paralysis, because this is a work in progress that has sat around and I just think about it all the time because it's a work in progress and it just hangs in the back of your head. So what I did was I've jotted down a couple of tips, and I will list these in the down bar below so that you can access all these tips. So this is no hard and fast rule, and it's just something that works for me. So please don't, this isn't how it's meant to be done. There's no right or wrong way. There's no knitting police. This is just what works for me, and it might work for you. A little bit of it might be helpful. None of it might be. No pressure. Just this is what works for me. So I always have, I've got 5 tips. I always have a small project on my needles. Pair of socks, hat, something that can sit in my bag that I can knit on the go, that's pretty potato chippy. I don't knit in line. I don't, I'm not one of these people who can walk and knit. I don't do any of that, but I've always got at least a small project with me. I do set a goal for the year, and then I break it down into how many projects that equals a month. So for argument's sake, I've got 40 projects that I want to complete this year. It was just a random number I picked. Then I divide it and work out how many projects I've got to do in a month, and then keep my queue on Ravelry as fresh as I can. And that means that when I cast something off, I don't end up with that whole, oh, what am I going to knit now? I've got nothing to knit. I've got nothing to knit. Whereas if you've got that plan going, it makes it easier to move on to the next project. Because let's face it, we always need something on the needles, don't we? Yes, always need something on the needles. Like I have just done now, it's the 2nd of May, and I have worked out the projects that I want to get finished this month and the projects that I'm going to cast on this month, more or less. It's not set in stone. It's, again, no such thing as a knitting police, but it makes it easier for me to move on to the next project. So I've got 2 pairs of socks, like I mentioned, the cardigan and my half and half wrap. So that's 4 projects. If I manage to get those done, I'm already talking about a hat, a set of cuffs, a shawl. So there's lots of things that I've got planned further down the track. So if I decide that I'm not going to finish this cardigan this month, no harm, no foul. I just move on and I'll do something else. The other interesting thing is every single row counts. Every stitch counts towards a finished object. I worked out that the half and half wrap that I'm knitting has 9,000 stitches in it. Now, when you think about it in terms of 9,000 stitches, that's a lot of knitting. And pretty frigging daunting, to be fair. But every row counts. And even on that day where I only knit 2 or 3 rows, that's 2 or 3 rows more than I would have had. So chip away at it slowly, just every day, just a couple of rows. And before you know it, it's done. And finally, my final tip about getting projects finished and off your needles and being a more productive knitter is, if you don't love it, put it in time out. If you're not enjoying it, put it in time out and move on to something that will spark your interest and light your fire, because knitting is supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be something that we love doing. And if you're finding it to be quite just uninspiring, walk away. Put it in time out. Time out is a thing. That's what happened with this. The cardigan. I don't know whether it was the fabric that I wasn't enamoured with, or I can't remember why it went into timeout, but it went into timeout. And now I've pulled it out again. I'm thinking, that's a really cool idea. I think I might finish that. So, yeah, there you go. If you don't love it, put it in timeout. And frogging is a thing. All knitters frog. Good knitters frog. Frogging is the thing. If you don't love it, start again. Because I actually frogged this. I had finished it. And I frogged it back to here because I wanted to love it when it was done. Because this is actually a custom dyed yarn. So I had them custom dye the yarn for me. So it needed to be a project that I loved. So frogging is a thing. Well, if you're still here, my gosh, you're a tenacious soul. Thank you for sticking around with me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and hit the little bell on the YouTube subscribe button so you're notified every time I upload a new video. I'll be back in a fortnight, if not sooner. You just never know with me. And remember, if you don't love knitting it, knit something else. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.